going to be bringing you is my Authorized Abyss Actor deck list, um, which I am a huge fan of the Abyss Actors, which is why I'm always testing out every Abyss Actor deck that I make. But let's get into this list. I will say that I will mention something near the end of the video. So starting off, we have one Abyss Actor Funky Comedian. I'm not really going to get much into their effects, but if you want to learn their effects, just watch one of my other videos. This one happened um, on this one is actually a scale 8. Of course, you can, by using its pendulum effect, you get to tribute one Abyss Actor monster, target another, and that other one, the one that you targeted that was not tributed, gains the tributed monster's attack. Sorry. One of the only level 8s that you have in the deck. Of course, level 1, so it will help out with linking for Link Karibo. Next, we run one Abyss Actor Extras, mainly because you don't want to see him as much, but in case you need him, then he will come in handy. His effect is you can actually normal him. If he's normal or special summon, you can tribute him, and place one Abyss Actor monster from your deck into your scale. Or if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to normal him, you can special summon him from your scale, then use his effect, which comes in handy in certain given points. Next, we will run one Trendy Understudy. Abyss Actor Trendy Understudy is our last level 8, rank 8, scale 8 monster until we get, I do believe it was Comic Relief. And once Twinkle Little Star comes, we'll be able to Pendulum Summon Evil Heal without having to use Wild Hope's effect. Either way, this one comes in handy because you have it on the field. You can actually tribute it if you have 2 Abyss Actor monsters in your scales. Tribute this monster, special summon 1 level 8 or 1 monster from, just from your hand or face up from your extra deck. So that comes in handy. Also, it's a card that allows you to recycle your Evil Heal when he gets destroyed, or or any of these 2 monsters, because they are level 1 monsters. But you only get to add them back to your hand once you once you Pendulum Summon. Next, we run the main card that you want to see at 3 is Abyss Actor Wild Hope. Now, Wild Hope is extremely good because he changes your other pendulum scale of an Abyss Actor to 9, so you can pendulum summon. Only thing is, you cannot pendulum summon anything else except for Abyss Actors. Also, by Trendy Understudy's effect, if he leaves your field or if he leaves your monster zone or your pendulum zone, you actually get to search out an Abyss Actor monster if he's destroyed, which is extremely good. Next, we run a bit of a staple card, but he's still required in the deck. You run 3 of Curtain Raiser, mainly because Curtain Raiser is one of those cards that you can special summon from your Pendulum Zone only once per duel. Also, he becomes a 22 beat stick if you have no other monsters on the field. Also, if you have a monster in your if you have an Abyss Actor Pendulum monster in your extra deck, and you do not have um, a Trendy Understudy in your scale, you can use his effects, send one Abyss script directly from your deck to the grave, and then you get to add that Abyss Actor monster that you need back to your hand. He comes in handy when trying to get Trendy Understudy back so you can retribute. Next one that you want to see at 3 is, of course, Abyss Actor Leading Lady. Because Leading Lady, she is extremely good. She allows you to reduce your opponent's monster's attack down based on the damage that you took by battle. Also, when she is destroyed, you can set an Abyss Actor. You can set an Abyss script directly from your deck. Abyss script spell, actually. But that's only when she's destroyed in your monster zone. Also, she allows you to retrieve um, Abyss Actor monsters with attack equal to or less than the damage that you've taken during that battle. So that's her pendulum effect, which is actually really good if you think about it. Next, I'm only running one of this card because I kind of see more than one of this bricky at the moment. We run one Sassy Rookie. Now, Sassy Rookie is extremely good. In the Pendulum Zone, he helps protect your Abyss Actor monsters. Also, well, yeah, he protects your Abyss Actor monsters by destroying himself instead. Also, when the first time he would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, he is not. So your opponent tries to break Eki, he's safe, while the rest get destroyed, sadly. Next we have, and the last, I do believe, yeah, this is the last Abyss Actor monster that you want to see. 3-head before we get the new support for it, which is Superstar. Now a lot of people tend to run this one at 2 or 3. I mean 2 or 1. No, you run it at 3 because it is a level 7. This deck originally was based on Xe summoning. You had a hard time synchro summoning if you were trying to synchro. Fusion summoning would be even harder, unless you actually fusion for the right cards. Either way, this card, when it is normal special summon, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps. You just cannot activate them. Also, this card allows you to set an Abyss script directly from your deck to the field, but send it to the graveyard um, during the end phase. You never really use its pendulum effect, which is once per turn you contribute one Abyss Actor monster, then target one Abyss script spell card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. You never really do that. We have a different card for that now. The next one and the final Abyss Actor that we run is Abyss Actor Evil Heal. Now, Evil Heal is extremely good because he is a level 8. He is a 3000 beat stick. Also, he reduces your opponent's... You can target one monster your opponent controls. You could reduce its level by 1000 for each Abyss Actor monster you currently control until the end of this turn. So you have a whole field of Abyss Actors. Your opponent's monster is exactly 5000 attack. Has exactly 5000 attack. This card comes in handy. Also, when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can target one Abyss script spell in your graveyard and set that target, which is good because it helps you recycle your Abyss scripts. Now, take into fact that this deck requires your Abyss Actors in your extra deck in order to revolve on some of their effects. Now, running in the Odd Eyes engine, which is the only 3 Odd Eyes monsters that we run in the main deck at the moment, are the 3 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I love the Platinum Secret Rare version, which is currently what I'm repping. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, of course, level 7 if you did not already know that. It's good to have him in your pendulum scale when battling other pendulum monsters, or any damage that you would take. You could reduce it to 0 if your opponent attacked a pendulum monster you control. Also, you can destroy this card during your end phase, and if you do, add one monster with one pendulum one pendulum monster with 1500 less attack from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon once per turn. Also, if this card battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is doubled, so that helps out a lot. And now the only tuner that we run in the deck so far is DD Orthros. A lot of people are telling me, Dude, you might as well start running Luster Pendulum, the Draco Slayer, whatever his name is. I hope I did get that right. No, you do not run that. I suggest if you're gonna go a level 4 tuner, you're gonna want to go, and a generic one at that, you're gonna want to go DD Orthros, because Luster Pendulum, you can only synchro Fusion or Exes. Use him for a synchro material, Exes material, or Fusion material for a Draco. That's why I go this one. I found it so funny how some of my friends got that completely wrong, and they're like, "No, you could use them for any kind of summoning for any monster." Like, no, you can't. Moving on, we have that was all the monsters, by the way. Moving on, for the main spell that you want to have 3 at, which is the natural Raigeki of the deck, is of course 3 Abyss Actor, um, Rising Abyss King. Now this card you can target on the you can target cards on the field equal up to the number of attack position Abyss Actor monsters you control with different names. Destroy them. If you control a level 7 or higher monster, your opponent cannot negate this effect whatsoever. Which actually, well, a level 7 or higher Abyss Actor type monster, which I found it funny because me and my friend Juan, we call him Happy. It was so funny because he tried to use a card that I'm all too familiar with. And if you're an Odd Eyes player, you're all too familiar with this monster that I'm about to mention, which I also run in this deck. And if you actually gone up against this card, you're too familiar with it as well. This card, my friend Happy, tried to negate it with Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, which clearly it states. And it's funny because I had Abyss Actor Superstar on the field, and he tried to negate it. I'm like, no, you can't negate it, because I have Abyss Actor Superstar on the field. You cannot negate it by its effect. And we had to call in our friend Ruben, which was a more experienced duelist, and apparently I was right. He could not negate it. And that just rose me up like higher. I was so excited on that. Also, um, if this set card in its owner's possession is destroyed by a opponent's card effect, and you have a face-up Abyss Actor monster in your extra deck, you can add up to two. You can add up to 2 Abyss Actor pendulum monsters. Your ex- oh, wait, sorry. You can add up to 2 Abyss Actor cards and or Abyss Script spells with different names from your deck to your hand. That is extremely good because you don't have your scale. You have a regular Abyss Actor monster on the field. Your opponent MSTs this card. Oh my god. And you had an Abyss Actor, face up Abyss Actor pendulum monster in your extra deck. Oh, good night. But the next card that we have, and which was one of the newest releases for the Abyss Actor archetype, is of course Abyss Script Abyss Statement. My god, this card is legit. You you um you can actually, up to 2 times per turn, you can actually tribute one of your Abyss Actor monsters set in Abyss Script directly from your graveyard. You can use that effect up to twice, but I feel bad for anyone who pops it while it's face down and the opponent and the person who controlled it had an Abyss Actor Pendulum monster in the X deck. Because you want to know why? Sorry, I have that happen. Either way, because of its effect. If I have an Abyss Actor Pendulum monster face up in my extra deck, while this card is set and my opponent MSTs it, I can spam the field with Abyss Actor monsters. No joke. Like, this card will spam my field, and if you don't have anything to combat it, your ass is screwed. And the last Abyss script that we run, which is one that's used to draw power, mainly, is Abyss script Opening Ceremony. Of course, you can gain 500 life points for each Abyss Actor monster you control. So you have a whole field. You technically gain like what 2,500 life points, which is fairly good, but the main effect is when it's face down. You have an abyss. Okay, so when it's face down, you have an Abyss Actor Pendulum monster in your extra deck, face up. Your opponent MSTs or Twin Twisters this card by this one's effect. You get when it's sent to the graveyard while face down, and you have an a face up Abyss Actor Pendulum monster in your extra deck. You get a draw until you have 5 cards, so it's an essential like a new hand. Next in the Odd Eyes engine that we run, if you're not familiar with the Odd Eyes engine, we're running three Sky Iris. Sky Iris is essential mainly for searching your Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon when you need him, and of course Odd Eyes Fusion. Now this card coupled with Abyss Actor Wild Hope, you get double the search, meaning you get to search an Odd Eyes card, and you get to search a you get to search out an Abyss Actor monster, which helps out a lot in this deck, which is one of the main plays. Now, as a staple card, I don't really recommend this, but if you want to, you can run it either way. I run 2 Terraforming, only for when I don't draw into Sky Iris the moment that I need it. I have the Terraforming in my hand. I could just activate Terraforming and add Sky Iris, then activate it. But Terraforming, I just run it just for the hell of it because, hey, why the hell not? If you have 3 field spells, why not run 2 Terraforming? Next and the last part of the Odd Eyes engine for the main deck is 2 Odd Eyes Fusions. Now, Odd Eyes Fusion, of course, you can fusion summon 1 Dragon-type fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials. Yeah, okay. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, and you control no monsters, you can also use 2 face-up Odd Eyes monsters from your extra deck as fusion material. You can only activate 1 Odd Eyes fusion per turn. Now, this, so this card, you want to run at 2. You never really want to run at 3 because it's a waste of space if you run at 3. But the 2, it's really, really good because you hardly ever fusion, as I'm going to show you in the extra deck in a bit. But this comes in handy when needing the Vortex Dragon. Now, the last spell card that we run, and the generic card that you always need in every dark deck, is the typical 3 Allure of Darkness. If you don't know what its effect does, its effect is draw 2 cards, banish 1 dark monster. If you control no dark monsters, or if you have no dark monsters in your hand, you have to send your entire hand to the grave. That's all for the spells. Now for the traps. We only run 2 traps because these are, I found, as staples until I can get my hands on a Pendulum Paradox and pretty much a Raigeki. We run Mind Crush mainly to disrupt my opponent's plays and to get rid of the main card that they have in order for them to play off on, mainly for Buster Blader purposes. And of course, the last trap is Solemn Strike, mainly to negate uh, monster effects and regular effects. So that actually comes in handy. Now, moving on to the extra deck. Be warned, in the extra deck, sadly, I am resorting to 2 proxies of the same monster until I can get my hands on the real monster that I need. Either way, moving on, we run 1 effect. If so, during the player's turn, I can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. At the end of the battle phase, I can special summon from my graveyard as many monsters destroyed as possible this turn as possible. During the next turn phase, damage for each monster special summon this way. If this card is sent, okay, the Dark Contract card, I really don't care about. That's something that's useless to me at the moment. But only this card I only use to get back, let's say, Starving Venom properly summoned. Next we run 1 Supreme King Dark Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, only to drain my opponent's monsters down to 0 during the battle phase. Castel the Sky Blasting Musketeer, mainly to change my opponent's monsters face down, or or to target my opponent's strongest monster, shuffle it back into the deck, which comes in handy. Now, going back into the Odd Eyes engine, for the Xyz part of it, you run two Absolute Dragons, overlay two level 7 monsters, um, attack, detach, negate the attack, and special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your graveyard. Also, when it leaves the field, you can actually special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck, except Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. So it comes in handy when trying to bring out the only monster that's a level 7 in the extra deck that's unable to be synchro summoned. Next, but as a bit of a filler, we have Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger. I found its effect kind of useless until I ended up noticing it. It can also be this card can also be exi summoned by. This card can also be used. This card can also exi. You can also exi summon this card by using a rank 5 or 6 Xyz monster you control as material. Transfer its materials to this card. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. So, piercing battle damage, that's all it does. Wow. Now we run Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, mainly because it cannot be destroyed by any effects, by card effects, while it has Xyz material. Also, each time my opponent activates a card or effect, inflict 500 damage, so it's burn damage, which is very helpful. Then we run number 11 Big Eye, mainly to take control of my opponent's monsters. Of course, my opponent will have to destroy his own monster to gain it back. Now, back to as I was saying, with Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, when it leaves the field, you can summon Odd Eyes Meteor Burst, so that one comes in handy. Say you have Evil Heal in your Pendulum Zone effect, special summon Evil Heal, or Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, either way. Next we have the Technical Raigeki, Walking Raigeki, Supreme King Dragon Clearwing, mainly to wipe my opponent's field clean to go in for an attack. Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer, mainly to pop my Pendulum Scales and shuffle one of my opponent's cards back into the deck. That actually comes in handy because, as I said before, this deck revolves on destroying its scales and floating around itself. Now, as I was saying, the last card that you run in the Odd Eyes engine is Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Every time it's special summoned, target one face-up attack position monster my opponent controls, return it to the hand. Also, during either player's turn, um, during either player's turn, when an opponent's spell or trap card or another monster effect is activated, you can shuffle one face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck back into the deck. Negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. Of course, you can only use that effect once per turn. Then, of course, starting Fusion Venom Dragon, mainly because why the hell not have the second original Dimensional Dragon? Also helps me get rid of my opponent's special summon monsters when he gets destroyed. Now, going into the only Link monsters that I run, which I'm proxying at the moment until I can get my hands on the real one, which if you guys would be so kind, or if anyone's watching and wants to, I'm like literally trying to get rid of 3 decks that, well, 2 decks and part of a deck or core of a deck that I have in order to get the 2 versions of this real card from the Megaton or the original print, whichever one. I go with 2 Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, mainly because when it's Link Summon, add a face up add a Pendulum monster from my deck to my X deck. Also, I can target one other card on the face up on my face up I control, destroy it, then add one face up Pendulum monster from my X deck to my hand. If a card in my Pendulum zone leaves the field, I can draw one card. Of course, I can only use each effect once per turn. Before we move on, as I was saying, I really want to get rid of the two proxies. So if anyone is willing to, I'm going to be getting rid of I'm willing to trade off my not Supreme King. Sorry, I used to run that deck. I'm willing to trade off my my Super Heavy Samurai deck, my 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 Cyber Dragon deck, and what I have so far of my Fluffles. So if you're interested, I will be leaving. I will tell you, look me up on Facebook, add me on Messenger by the name of Angel Cavazos, or you can, yeah, or you can leave a comment down below. Either way, moving on to the side deck, we run pretty much the Supreme King engine, which I run I have one gate 0, one gate infinity, mainly for extra time for adding the, for searching out Odd Eyes Fusion if I need it. Of course, Dark Worm, mainly to bring back, what's it called? Mainly to bring back Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. That's my hand traps at the moment, or you can call them hand traps if you want. I run 2 Kaijus mainly to get rid of my opponent's opposing monsters. 1 DDD Dragon King Pendragon mainly because you do run dragons and you do run fiends in this deck, so hitting this card won't be hard. Performer Power Odd Eyes Unicorn mainly because it's another scale of 8 and another level 1 that I can actually use if I ever get my hands on Link Kuriboh. Lecter Pendulum, the Draco Overlord, mainly because if it at the start of the damage step, if it battles, you can destroy both this card and that opponent's monster. Also, I can negate the effects of face-up Pendulum monsters while my opponent controls them. So if this card comes in handy when going up against my opponent's monsters, Pendulum monsters. One Fantasy Magic only because I do have that other I do have a lot of monsters that can be destroyed, and of course if my opponent destroys my monster, I can target this monster, my monster, and if it destroys it and they didn't get destroyed, this card will bounce them back to the hand, which comes in handy. Where if thou just to search for the level 1s. Echo Oscillation, mainly because you guessed it, pop my Pendulum Scales every chance I get. So this way I get that extra draw and of course that extra search. Mirror Force just to wipe my opponent's board clean every time they would attack. So on their next turn, their field would be dominated. Of course, um, Pendulum Reborn for when I get what's his name, Odd Eyes Venom Dragon. Well, subscribe to this channel. Leave a like to this video if you liked the video. Also, I also ask that you please hit the notification bell so you will be notified every time I upload a video, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, please, anyone who watches, please please consider my offer. I am going to be throwing out my Cyber Dragons, my Super Heavy Samurais, and what I have so far, the Fluffles. Again, you can find me on Facebook at Angel Cavazos. We can arrange a meeting, or I can find a way to send the decks out to you if it suits your fancy. But please let me know. Leave a comment down below if you're actually willing to go through with it. I really need 2 heavy metal full Electromites to complete this deck. And a Pendulum Paradox. Raigeki, I don't even know. Arai's Venom Dragon, yes, I do need. And hopefully a Supreme King Zerg. That's about it. Enjoy the rest of your day.